Good afternoon. My name's Adam. I'm the head of product for Appian. I'm also two other things. One is extremely excited to share with you the investments we're making, why we're making them, and what you can expect them to do for you. And two, the only thing standing between you and a great networking reception. So I'm going to try to keep things interesting and keep them moving. I want to start by going back to this Gartner slide from Mike's presentation. And you know it's a Gartner slide because it's uglier than all my other slides. I think it's great that Gartner finally caught on to what Appian has known for a while, which is that there's tremendous value in having all of the different technologies and capabilities that you need to digitize, automate, and transform your business under one umbrella, working really well together. Now, what you should also note is that this is not a static picture. If you roll the clock back 2 years, intelligence wasn't on there. If you roll it forward 2 years, there's going to be other technologies on there. Appian has always been committed to being a unified platform for automation, which means we're always going to have what you need and be able to take advantage of the latest technology or methodology in order to help you realize your goals. It's also great that they gave us the cute little acronym BOAT, because who doesn't want to ride the boat? And if you'll allow me a moment of local pandering here, I think this boat, the Spirit of Australia, is a great analogy for the rest of my presentation. It's relatively short, and according to the clock, I've got 28 minutes and 34 seconds left. It's innovative. It was made out of wood in a backyard here in Sydney, and although my roadmap's a bit more reliable, I hope you'll find it just as innovative. And it's fast. It broke and set the water speed record back in 1978, and if you've been paying attention to the presentations today, you notice a common thread of mind-bogglingly important and complex transformations done at breakneck speed. And so as I go through the roadmap, think about how the things that we're going to work on are going to help you turbocharge your goals and your transformations. Now, jokes about Gartner aside, they actually do serve a really important purpose in our industry. They study technology deeply, ours and our competitors. They listen to customers, and they talk to prospective buyers of technology platforms. Now, what Gartner says about us and what I say about us, or what Mike says about us, should maybe bring you a little bit of confidence, maybe a little bit of comfort, but it shouldn't be convincing. What should convince you are the stories that you heard today from people like Miranda, or people like Michael, or people like Brendan. See, those are the heroes of the story. Appian isn't the hero of your transformation story. I'd like to think we're one of the superpowers, but they are the ones who are your peer innovators, your peer change agents, and we're here to help them and you accomplish your business goals. So let's stick with design, automate, and optimize, and I want to go through my roadmap using this organizing principle, because in a way, I'm working on all of these things for you at the same time. We're going to talk about improvements to how you design applications for speed, so you can go from that idea to the realization in production faster than ever. We'll talk about the different automation technologies and how you can bring them to bear to realize the efficiency or productivity gains that you need. And we'll talk about how to understand and optimize your business applications so you can continue to drive towards those top and bottom line goals. Start with design. So Appian is serving all of these important personas at the same time. We have a rich set of SDKs, a UI SDK, a smart service SDK, a function SDK, so that Appian and the community can extend the capabilities of the platform. We have a vibrant app market where you can take these innovations and make them part of your applications if they serve a good purpose that you need. We're always working on our low-code design experiences. I'm going to share some of the ones that we're working on now and in the future in order to help you go from idea to app faster. We have a citizen development capability so that we can let business users manage and configure the aspects of their application that make sense, that your IT organization empowers them to do. And we are delivering value directly to end users that don't even require design, but only configuration for them to start getting value from. Now, as Mike pointed out, the foundation of every application is data, which is why we built the data fabric, or as you all keep reminding me, the data fabric, but you'll forgive me if I slip into bad habits. Data in an enterprise is one of the hardest things to wrangle. It is the scourge of enterprise because it is so fragmented, so difficult to get together, and there's so many issues of sovereignty and access because, understandably, a lot of the different elements that are going to participate in your application weren't built to operate together. They're point solutions or relational databases that understand a piece of your enterprise. But if you're trying to realize an enterprise-wide or cross-departmental or cross-application transformation, you need to be able to address that data in its entirety. And that's why we built it. We built and patented our data fabric because it is able to access all that fragmented enterprise data, bring it together while respecting the source of record, optimize it as it comes into the system for querying and updating so you get fast performance, and then put a layer on top of it that makes it easy to work with for application developers. You've probably seen something like this, right? This is what it's like to be able to have this virtual overlay on top of your enterprise data, but for your developers, in this case, the yellow lines basically make up the cohesive idea of a customer object that spans all these different systems. Now your developers can work with it as if it's one local object. And we know how to update it in its source systems, and we know how to refresh it anytime it changes and keep it real time. Mike also mentioned that we invest a lot in security. We have visual row-level security so that you can not only quickly configure the most granular level of security you need for your data, but you can audit it too. And that's really important to be able to open it up and see who has access to this data and ensure that it's only the right people under only the right conditions. So we built this data fabric, and it's really well adopted because it is the best way to work with data, complex enterprise data. So where are we going with the data fabric? A couple places. One, the data fabric is only as good as the important enterprise data sources that can participate with it. And we've heard from a lot of our customers that they want to be able to connect streaming data sources, like Kafka, into the data fabric, so that's what we're going to do. We continue to push the scale of data fabric. Now, the reason there's a limit at all is because Appian is guaranteeing performance no matter how complex the relationships, no matter how many systems are connected to it, and no matter how many rows there are under the limit. So we've been increasing the limit with each and every release since we built the data fabric. We have an architecture that's going to take us to 10 million by the end of this year or early next, and then 5 or 10x that by the end of next year. Now, this 10 million rows is not the only story when it comes to scale. Because of a rich set of filtering capabilities we have and the ability to do smart data design about which records represent which part of your business at a given time, we have customers addressing data sources with over 300 million rows of data, despite the current 4 million row limit. We're just going to keep pushing that. And last, we've been getting requests to take the value, all this goodness of the data fabric that you've designed, and be a good citizen in your IT ecosystem and expose that out to other non-Appian applications. Makes sense, so we're going to do that. We're going to open it up via probably SQL, maybe GraphQL, we're still thinking about it, in order for you guys to avail other applications of the value of what you've built on Appian. Can't talk about design without talking about AI and the benefits that it presents for speeding up developers. I'll start at the bottom. Appian's had AI in our development environment for 10 years, as Mike said earlier. We have smart, intelligent recommendations and best practices built into the design experience to tell you whether your designs are in accordance with best practices or may run into trouble as you continue to build out your application. We have analyzed and put machine learning models against all of our customers' anonymized process models, so we can tell you when you drag a node off of the process modeler palette what the most likely next node is going to be, and so that just speeds up the process of drawing out your process model. We have the ability to upload a PDF of an interface and use AI to automatically suggest what the sale representation of that interface is, which is what you see continually redrawing itself on the screen here. And more recently, we've added 2 more generative AI-based development accelerators. One, the ability to automatically generate unit tests for your rules. We are a low-code platform, but we're still a platform on which you need to do software development best practices, including testing. And building test cases can be tedious, but AI is really good at understanding not only the number and types of inputs of your rule, but also the structure and semantics of it, and recommending test cases automatically. So you can just check a few boxes, and you've got your test suite built. And last, something that we keep getting a lot of thanks for from developers, the ability to auto-generate test data. The ability to generate representative test data, especially with complex data fabric relationships, is really critical for user acceptance testing, for sprint reviews, for demos to your executives, and this works very well because it's generative AI. It knows, based on the type of objects that your application has, what a good set of representative data might be. And you can converse with it, get as much of it or as diverse a set of data that you need with a few clicks and a little bit of typing. So that's great. AI can help with some of the more tedious parts of building applications, but we have bigger ambitions. I think AI should help with a lot more of the application development process. So I'm going to show you something that is definitely roadmappy. You tell I don't even know when I'm going to ship it yet, but it's going to be pretty soon. that will help turbocharge the development process using generative AI. We're tentatively calling it Plan View. I don't like that. We're thinking about new names. If you have any, come find me at the happy hour. And what it is it's AI-based requirements capture. It's what happens in every Sprint Zero. You sit down, you bring the business and technology together, and you say, what are we here to build? Well, instead of doing that in separate documentation, what if you did it in the platform, and we recommended the application that you should build? The way it's going to work, in fact, I'll just show you how it's going to work, because I've got a demo. So you're going to use natural language description. You'll either type what you want, or if you happen to have requirements documents, which a lot of our customers do, you'll copy and paste those in. Generative AI will understand it, consume it, parse it, and then recommend the design, the layout of your application. And that's where we're going to stop at first. But as you can see on the screen, my intention is to go a lot further. And it's to actually have AI generate some of the most important objects of that application. And we'll bring that online incrementally after we get this first version out. So let's take a look at it. Instead of using a requirements document, I'm just going to simply type into this canvas here, I want an expense management system. Of course, sitting on top of an LLM that's been trained on the internet, there's lots of examples of expense management. And so right away, within seconds, it goes and it recommends a set of steps, activities, actions, actors, and maybe even objects that you need. Now, I said that the LLM was trained on the internet, but remember, Appian's AI is private. What you type into here is only used for your application. It cannot be used on anything else. It does not retrain the model, and it isn't in use by your competitors either. So you can drag and drop the steps. You can continue to converse with the AI to refine the understanding of the application. You can click into some of those actions. You can attach existing objects if you want to reuse some, or you can go ahead and start your development journey by building actions attached to the steps that the AI came up with. So that's what we're working on now, and you should expect to see that coming out very soon. And we're excited about the productivity boost that this is going to give to every developer, regardless of what type of application they're going to build. One of the things that I've loved hearing today is the focus on user experience, right? I mean, Miranda just talked about it. We heard it earlier. I believe that enterprise applications should be a joy to use. I'll say it again. They should be a joy to use. Now imagine like PeopleSoft and SAP. Do you think those guys thought enterprise apps should be a joy to use? We want you to think about the ideal user experience because we know that you can represent it in Appian. We have teams hard at work continuing to increase the flexibility, the expressibility, the beauty of the types of components and capabilities that you can put in your applications. I have built and deployed free online UX trainings for your UX developers to go and understand our sale design capabilities, best practices, and how to build gorgeous-looking enterprise UIs. And we have publicized our sale design system at design.appian.com, which is a great resource all of you developers out there should know about, because it has inspiration galleries, it shows you the diversity of UIs you can build on Appian, and it even lets you take the sale code and just immediately start working with it. So we're going to continue to press on user experience. We're going to continue to increase the capabilities of building gorgeous enterprise application UIs. Talked about Case Management Studio being our citizen development capability. First, let me say why we built it. We built Case Management Studio because you all have been building case management applications for years. And what we did was we went out and we surveyed a lot of those applications. And we realized that there's a commonality to many of them, that if we could just ship out of the box, you'd be that much closer to the application that you want. Of course, you can configure it and make it bespoke. And because it sits on the underlying Appian platform, you can extend it using the low-code development capabilities. But we think it's pretty good right out of the box, and we have seen it get customers from idea to application, case management-shaped application, in just a few weeks, not even 6, not even 8, because we meticulously studied what a case management application might need to be. It's got a great case worker dashboard. We've thought about the data model that comes out of the box. We've thought about some of those core workflows that a case worker needs to interact with. We've thought about the reports that a supervisor is going to want to see, and we've baked them all in from the very beginning. But, as I mentioned, it's a citizen development capability. So if that isn't exactly what you need your case management application to be, we've got no-code configuration, drag and drop modification of data model, of interface, like case intake form, and of workflows, so that you can just configure it instead of having to go back through the development cycles and then rebuild it using low code. So that's something that we've seen a lot of productivity from. And so we went looking again and to see what other case management shaped application might we be able to provide to the market that would provide a great speed up, a great benefit? And we came across contract lifecycle management. One, because some of our customers are using us for contract lifecycle management. But two, because it's not a really well-solved problem. We still see customers doing contracts in emails, contracts on shared network drives, and we thought this is ripe for a transformation. This is ripe for an application. So coming later this year, we're going to be releasing contract lifecycle management, which is a flavor of case management, but with all the same values that I just talked about a minute ago. It's going to have a studio experience for configuration. I'll show you that in a second. It's going to have guided wizards. It's going to have a well-thought-out initial contract officer dashboard. It's going to use AI for intelligent clause recommendation, semantic search of documents. It's going to have the rich set of document editing and redlining capabilities that you need when working with contracts, SOWs, and agreements. So this is what it looks like. Well, we'll refine it a little bit, but this is what it looks like today. So you've got the contract officer dashboard. It shows you the actions you could take at a glance. It shows you what tasks are assigned to you. It shows you what agreements are in flight. And it's got a prioritized list based on a set of rules of things that you need to attend to, in addition to some KPIs and important information that we think you might want to know at a glance. And to onboard a new agreement, a new contract vehicle, you can either start from scratch or you can use a template. You can build your own templates from scratch. You can let AI help you build the templates, or you can reuse a template that's already been built. And then finally, when you're looking at one of these agreements, like I said, you're going to get a rich dashboard showing you everything you need to know. The progress of this agreement, contract, SOW, whatever it is, in its workflow, tasks assigned to you, open, completed, or anybody else, quick actions you can take, the contract vehicle itself, the document, and some important details that we've pulled out both from the document, but also from any associated records with the contract. So look for this to help provide a great speed up and great consistency and scalability in contract lifecycle management later this year. All right, let's switch gears and talk about automation. When we talk about end-to-end process automation, I want you to remember the boat. Not the wooden one, not the one hanging on the wall, but Gartner's definition, right? We think that process automation is about having all the capabilities you need to move work from system to system, system to human, human to bot, bot to AI, AI to human, and AI to system, right? Everything you need so that you can use the right tool for the right job without having to go bring another technology in, another vendor, learn a whole new set of semantics. It's all the same. What I like to tell our customers is that we work really, really hard to make it so that a low-code developer is a process developer, a data developer, a UI developer, a bot developer, and yes, even an AI developer, and they're just an Appian developer, right? That's something we take very seriously. So what have we been doing and what will we be doing? Well, we still believe that RPA has an important place in the enterprise. Maybe not as much as the RPA vendors who sold you 1 million bots, but it is great for repetitive tasks and offloading those from humans, right? It can be done consistently. It can be done scalably. It can be done audibly. It can work all night, and humans usually can't. They get cranky, they go on vacation, things like that. Bots are great when it comes to that type of work. So we've worked really hard to make it easy to build bots. We've worked hard to make it so that you can manage both your bots and the bot resources that they require in order to run on. And we've focused on bot-specific use cases. A lot of enterprises still run Excel-driven processes, or at least part of their processes, that involve opening up Excel files, looking for something, changing something, running a macro, putting it on a shared drive, and that is ripe with fragility, right? It's not easy to scale. It's not easy to audit. It's not easy to secure. It's very brittle. Bots can do a great job. So we've enhanced our bots so that they can handle the most complex types of Microsoft Office Excel documents. We've also recently, and I didn't even update the slide, but recently shipped RPA for our self-managed customers running on Appian on Kubernetes, because we want to close the parity gap. We want self-managed customers to have all the same value of our cloud customers, and this is just where we're starting. Also can't talk about automation without talking about AI. AI has a lot of promise when it comes to automation, and we've heard already today. We heard Michael earlier talking about straight-through processing. 80%, 100%. Whatever you can do to augment and supercharge your knowledge workers, AI has a part to play in that. We started our AI journey inside of processes, what we call AI skills. AI skills are pieces of AI that you put in your workflows that do discrete AI tasks instead of having the human do it. So there's a lot of things that AI is good for here. We started with document processing. right? When it comes to structured documents, AI, OCR technology, things like that are great for document classification. What type of document is this? You can do intelligent routing based on that. Email classification, slightly more unstructured, but it's really good at that too. Document extraction, the digitization, I had a sign out there that says honk if you like roadmaps. So, digitization of important documents that power a lot of our businesses. Because the first thing that happens when a document comes into your workflow is you've got to take the data out of it and get it into a format that can be worked later in the workflow, right? And AI can do a really good job of that. But we didn't just stop there. We supercharged our AI skill capability. In 24.2, we added 11 new AI skills, most of them generative AI based, that help in different parts of automation. Everything from identifying personally identifiable information in structured and unstructured content, summarization of documents, sentiment analysis, classification of unstructured document. We have a lot of different ways that AI can participate in your workflows. And what we see a lot of our customers do is string these together in order to achieve as much efficiency as possible. But, as Mike said earlier, this is the era of mixed autonomy. We still believe that if you want, the human should remain in charge. So for some of our customers, 100% automation isn't the goal. For some of them and parts of their processes, it absolutely is. And things like our AI skills will help you get there. I'm very proud of this slide, even though it doesn't represent one feature. What it represents is two things. One is a commitment to continue to deserve the high end of your business, the high end of scale, the high end of complexity, the high end of security, and the high end of performance. And two, it represents a major investment that we've been making, always have, and always will towards that goal. So we're already enterprise grade. We have the certifications. We have the customer stories to prove it. So where do we go from there? Well, enterprise work isn't standing still, right? Scale challenges that we've already overcome are just going to come back in a new form as enterprises move forward. We want to be there for the workloads of the future, not just the workloads of today. And that's why we're investing in what we call EPICS, or our Elastic Process Execution Engine. You may have heard about it if you pay attention to some of our webinars, and it's coming out later this year. It's a new architecture for the heart of the platform, the process engine that runs those processes with all those automation technologies I just talked about. And we are looking at a tremendous improvement in scale. We already have customers that run millions of processes a day. We're going to have customers that can run billions of processes a day. And we've been testing at that scale. It's going to be able to auto-scale up when you have bursty or seasonal workloads. Imagine having to do 401k transaction reconciliations in the millions or hundreds of millions in a 3-hour window between the time one office goes to sleep and another one wakes up. You're going to need a lot more throughput, so it'll scale up to meet that demand. And it'll scale down to save costs and save carbon. And it's more efficient even when it's not scaling. We've already seen that it can run your existing processes faster with less resources, even if it's not scaling. So what's an EPICS process? Well, eventually, every process will be an EPICS process, but Appian releases incrementally, much like you guys do, and we want to get the value of this new engine out soon. So we're starting with one use case, straight through unattended processes. Any process model or sub-process model that does not have human work, and a lot of yours don't, that maybe has a component of reaching into a database, pulling out a bunch of data, running some rules against it, transforming it, creating a bunch of tasks, putting it somewhere else, that's a candidate for an EPICS process. And just I put an example on the screen so you could see. It doesn't have any of the human tasks involved. Now, in order to enable an EPICS process, we're not going to do it automatically. We're going to let you opt into it. It's as simple as a checkbox on the process model. And we will intelligently validate that that process or sub-process is capable of running an EPICS because we know all the different smart services that are EPICS enabled, and we'll provide you guidance if there's anything in there that prevents it from being able to run on the new engine. If you're going to be running processes at the scale that I'm talking about, you need a new way to understand how they're working. So we're also going to deliver a new monitoring and management console for processes. It's going to help you see the 60,000-foot view, how are things going, how many, how fast, any failures, and be able to dive in and do things like investigate a problem, do bulk restarts, because sometimes your processes will struggle when a resource, a third-party resource, an API, a database, is unavailable, and we're going to make it super easy for you to redo those processes once that resource is available again. So where are we with EPICS? Well, roughly here. We've been in beta with customers. That's why I can confidently state that we're going to be able to deliver the throughput that I'm talking about. And we're going to be releasing it later this year, in just a quarter. So look for that. Finally, we talked about design. We talked about automate. Let's talk about optimization. Our investments in optimization are predicated on one idea, which is that the platform you choose on which to automate your business should give you easy and unparalleled insights into how your business is doing without having to do any extra work. So that's why we released Process HQ earlier this year. Process HQ is made up of two capabilities. One is data fabric insights, visibility on top of the data fabric on all your data, and two is process insights, and I'll talk about both of them. Data fabric insights, as you can see, is a direct-to-business user, not a development capability, direct-to-business user reporting capability on top of the data fabric. It is drag-and-drop, WYSIWYG configuration of reports against the data fabric. Now, because it goes against the data fabric, it is superior to traditional analytical tools in the following way. It is real-time. It already knows all the different sources, and because it's connected to your Appian applications, anytime anything changes, it is updated in real time. Instead of going against a data warehouse or a data lake that has to get rehydrated or repopulated or whatever we call it on a batch basis. The other thing is your security rules are in play. So you are only looking at snapshots of data that the configuration of your data fabric or records allows you to. So you can be confident that you're only seeing data that you're supposed to and that you're seeing it in real time. And we've built a capability like this earlier last year, and we've been adding to it. So when we released Data Fabric Insights, you could just configure these reports. Now you can save them. You can share them. You can collaborate on them. You can use AI to get insights about it by typing questions, and we will send the report and your questions to private AI and get a response back. So you can get things like recommendations, trends, summarizations, things like that. So that's Data Fabric Insights. Process Insights is our innovative take on process mining. I think process mining is a great technology, but it has the following pitfall. Process mining traditionally is a highly invasive, highly expensive, managed service offering where you have to distract your important systems owners to get all these logs together, and you have to distract your business in order to make sense of it, and you have to bring in data scientists in order for them to get any value from it. We wanted to turn that on its head. I want Process Insights against all your Appian processes simply by virtue of you building them the right way on Appian. So that's what we did. We released a capability a couple quarters ago called Record Events, which is a way that as you build your process model, you signal important business events that are happening, and that's it. Now, with Process Insights, you can configure who has access to it, and automatically you will get a default dashboard like you see here. It's got out-of-the-box KPIs like cycle time and duration. It tells you the average completion time, the median time, how many activities are happening, and to what degree it's automated so that you can see potential opportunities for improvement. We'll also show you the discovered model. What you see down there at the bottom, in process mining terms, this is called a spaghetti diagram, and it's not the process you drew, it's the one that's actually happening as 10, 100, 1,000, hundreds of thousands of iterations are going through the system. And it's a visualization of potential hotspots, things that are taking too long, high volume things, rework loops, things that are going back more times than you would expect. And it's a great way to start understanding the performance of your processes. But we don't stop there. We'll also show you the most common activities that are happening in the process, the most common attributes, which are the data associated with those activities, and the slowest activities that are happening as well. So that is great for your at-a-glance dashboard, understanding your operations center for your process, right? You'll come here, you'll look at it, you'll see if things are going the way you expect or not. But what if you want to know why they are the way they are? That's where a lot of the interesting stuff starts to happen. This is what we call an investigation. This is a guided experience for business users where we drill through the different flows in a process, the different activities, the nodes that are happening, the different attributes, the data that's associated with it, and the different actors, and we will show you where the outliers are. In the case we're looking at here, we're looking at a set of price quotes, and we're seeing that price quotes with the attribute country equals Mexico are 13 days higher on average than the rest of the population without that attribute. Now, maybe you expect that. Maybe you know exactly why that is. So you can dismiss that finding. Or maybe that surprises you. So you can add it to a running set of insights, and we will tell you in total the potential savings that you would have for bringing all these different outliers in line with the rest of the population. The way I like to talk about this is helping our business users build a case for change. Sometimes you know that things are slow, and you know why, but you can't quantify it. So you can't convince people to spend time on it. This is what Process Insights will help you do. It'll help you understand what's going on, why, and whether it's worth doing something about it. We also will auto-generate a nice, friendly executive dashboard so you can show your superiors what's going on with a little bit of input. It'll tell you costs, it'll tell you errors, it'll tell you whatever you want to know so that you can understand at a glance all your most important processes and how they're performing. So I have to wrap up. But this slide behind me doesn't do justice to how I feel. So I want to end on a slightly sentimental note. This week, Appian had its 25th anniversary. I happen to have been a part of this journey for 22 years, but that journey, as meaningful it is to me, would be meaningless without you all, our customers. So I do want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for giving us a chance. Thank you for putting your trust in us. Thank you for challenging us. And thank you for letting us be a part of your transformation. Thank you.